Led Zeppelin. Together they forged a thunderous rock and roll noise with the hammer of the gods and cut a swath of debauchery and mayhem across the planet with a weed whacker of the damned. But this legendary band had some rather humble beginnings. Point of fact. James Patrick Page was raised in the baggage claims department at Heathrow Airport from infancy. Though told he'd been mistakenly delivered there by a drunk stork, in reality his mother was charged with abandoning him there after using his soiled diapers to smuggle hash in from Afghanistan. Growing up with no real playmates, Page was given a guitar by some skycaps who liberated it from the baggage conveyor belt. He soon learned how to play everything he knows from former blues great spastic Colin Murphy. Jimmy learned much from spastic Colin, and though later he'd make millions stealing his songs without any credit or royalties, Jimmy never forgot to send Colin a Christmas card at his nursing home located in the Tuskegee Syphilis Institute. As a teenager, Jimmy joined the burgeoning skiffle movement, and his band, the Garden Gnomes, won many amateur talent contests on the telly.
What are your two names? Yours is?
James Page and
David House. Both from Epsom. Well, what are you going to do when you leave school? Take up skiffle?
No, I want to do, biological research.
Do you? I do that already. In fact, what do you mean by biological?
Just as quickly as it started, however, the skiffle craze was over, and when the other members quit, Page decided to reform the band with a more hard rock sound. First, he advertised for a vocalist in Quentin Crisp's weekly paper, The Enchanted Fop.
Wanted, raggedy, good-looking lead throat, must have strong pipes to accompany my fiery axe. Let's make beautiful music together, eh?
Due to its wording, he received some most unusual responses. A farm boy by the name of Robert Plant was the only one to inquire about being a vocalist. Although a dozen other gentlemen did respond, allowing Jimmy to earn some money to get his guitar out of hock. Despite possessing absolutely no talent, Plant did have a magnificent head of golden blonde hair, and so was immediately hired. Robert then urged Jimmy to check out his friend John Bonham. Bonham grew up in Birmingham and had a difficult upbringing. His mother, Fanny, died during his delivery, and his father, Dick, perished after drinking 3 buckets of homemade scotch and falling in front of a paddy wagon. Bonham was then raised in an abusive orphanage and channeled all his Dickensian anger into soccer violence and playing the drums. After a quick audition, he too was in the group. Finally, bassist John Paul Jones was added, mainly because his mother let them practice in the family basement. Thus, the band was complete, and having little business or even common sense, they desperately needed a manager to guide their career. Enter former bra model and ex-sumo wrestler Peter Grant. Known for his strong arm tactics, he bought out the Garden Gnomes contract from then-manager Reuben Kincaid for 10 shillings and a dagger up the strap. Now all that was needed was a new band name, and after the Elfin Noodle Factory, Sticky Bun, and Hot Pants Mama were rejected, they decided to name the group Led Zeppelin after manager Peter Grant's man tits. They played their first gig as the bat mitzvah band for Donovan's daughter, Ione Skye. Members of the press were in attendance, and the next day the music papers all declared Led Zeppelin to be the hottest thing to come out of England since Neville Chamberlain's policy of Nazi appeasement.
Office Park is melting in the dark. all the sweet green icing flowing down.
They then landed a series of gigs opening up for Richard Harris on his disastrous MacArthur Park tour. Zeppelin played a blistering set, but their hard rock sound didn't gel with the audience, and they were pelted with pieces of soggy cake.
Back in the U.S., back in the U.S., back in the U.S.
In the months that followed, the Beatles broke up, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin all died, and Jim Nabors recorded his first album. As if by serendipity, Zeppelin was there to fill the gaping void in rock and released their first album entitled English Twits Rip Off Black Blues Singers, but known simply to fans as Led Zeppelin. The press resoundingly panned the album. Rolling Stone called it flatulent and derivative, but surprisingly gave Jim Nabors Sings Negro Spirituals 4.5 stars. The kids, however, bought it in droves because the album's gatefold cover was ideal for rolling doobies on. Zeppelin immediately followed up with another album named Music to Sodomize Fairies in the Enchanted Forest by, or simply Led Zeppelin II. Though again derided by the critics, the fans loved it, and the album soon went platinum. Now, rolling in the dough, Zeppelin was finally able to indulge their rock star appetites, no matter how disturbing or ridiculous. John Paul Jones spent millions on his passion for Hummel figurines.
They're so lovely. I mean, come on. What's cuter than little ceramic German boys? Not bloody much else, I'll tell you that.
John Bonham bought himself a cameo role in his favorite TV show, The Munsters. Jimmy also pursued his fascination with satanic American sitcoms by becoming a devoted follower of mystic and ringmaster of comedic evil, Uncle Fester.
The Addams Family.
Meanwhile, Plant was struggling with his own personal addiction, his luxurious mane of hair. He started out like most addicts, using a dab of Brill cream in his hair and occasionally experimenting with blow dryers, but was soon buying cans of hairspray by the truckload and seeing his hairdresser 2, sometimes 3 times a day. The band overlooked this, however, as 1971 saw the release of their most successful album. Though untitled, it was covered with rune-like symbols meant to reflect each of the members' personalities. Mysteriously, there was no mention of the band within the album, and the only English words inside was a warning from the record label. The centerpiece of the album was 10 minutes of excruciating melodrama called Stairway to Heaven.
She's buying the stairway to heaven.
Plant had originally written the song's lyrics for a series of Hallmark greeting cards, but they'd been rejected as nonsensical drivel.
And she's buying the stairway to heaven.
Radio disc jockeys loved the song and played it constantly because its incessant length gave them just enough time to do some blow and finish the latest jumble puzzle.
And she's buying the stairway to heaven.
Stairway to Heaven grew in popularity and soon became the theme song for senior proms.
And she's buying the stairway to heaven.
Labor Day Top 100 countdowns, and shotgun weddings everywhere. A series of tragedies, however, soon befell Zeppelin. First, a coalition of Baptist ministers announced a boycott of Zeppelin after hearing strange messages when Stairway to Heaven was played backwards.
By the homo. By the homo. Little boy blue, I am coming straight to you.
while vacationing with his family in Greece, Robert Plant was involved in a horrible car accident. Rumors abounded that the accident was either karmic retribution for Jimmy Page's dabbling in black magic, or because Robert forgot to put on his right turn signal. Although his physical injuries were not serious, his fabulous golden locks were not so lucky. He suffered extensive follicle damage, and when doctors said he might never receive a decent perm again, Robert wept openly. Sadly, the rest of Led Zeppelin was forced to look for Plant's replacement. They held a much publicized open audition, and many of the top singers of the day gave it a shot.
La la, that kooky la la.
La 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 la.
None of these singers worked out, however. Thankfully, though, a benefit for victims of scalp disasters was organized by Sir Bob Geldof, and the concert at Nebworth raised funds to buy Plant hair extensions and Elton John a new toupee. Just when his due was looking back to normal, however, tragedy struck again as newspapers around the world reported that John Bonham had kicked the big bass drum in the sky. Those close to him were astounded.
He was just a genuine, normal type of guy.
He drank 8 quarts of vodka a day and used Slim Jims as toothpicks. Led Zeppelin couldn't go on without their beloved Bonzo and vowed to go their separate ways and never perform again. Unless it was for a whole lot of money. Robert went on to become a spokesman for L'Oreal shampoo and later married his own hair in this touching ceremony. John Paul Jones left the world of rock to become a roller disco instructor.
Right foot in front, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Having fun?
Most rock and rollers that I knew had a real problem with disco.
And Jimmy Page became a fat, bloated has-been who could surprisingly still score with 14-year-old girls. In 1998, a Led Zeppelin reunion was held on MTV Unplugged. There was Jimmy Page playing the multi-millionaire blues on his guitar, and Robert Plant hitting notes higher than a gay Ella Fitzgerald. An urn of Bonham's ashes rested solemnly by the drum kit, and of course, John Paul Jones was outside parking the cars. The band's legacy lives on, and they continue to get filthy rich off royalty checks from licensing their music to movie soundtracks and scoring orthopedic infomercials.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway to heaven.
You have been watching the Liebography of Led Zeppelin. Thank you, and good night.
With a word she can get what she can.